Hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Alon.
and welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Hey listeners, it's Mark, and it's so good to have you back with us for another episode. We appreciate you tracking with us and journeying with us. We appreciate you being part of this conversation and this movement that we're really trying to create that opens dads up to topics and ideas and community. And we're just thrilled to have you along. And I couldn't do this without my buddy Alon. So good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah.
Good to be here on the podcast with you and those who are listening. I just want to not one up. This is not like a contest, Mark.
No.
But I just want to echo what you're saying. And big ups what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like we so appreciate you guys who have been here, who are listening, those who have even just joined and started listening and joining in the conversation. This is a conversation that we started together at a coffee shop drinking coffee.
We did.
And look at it now.
Now look at what we're doing.
And so welcome. If this is your first time, this is your 60th time, like thank you. Thank you for listening and being a part and supporting this conversation for dads.
We are picking up new listeners every week, and it's exciting to see the community grow. And so if that's you and you want to let us know that you're out there, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. We'd love to hear from you, to let us know that you're tracking with us, that you've joined our community here, and if you got suggestions, questions, comments, we would love to hear it. And as a part of growing this community, as a part of trying to reach out and expand the conversation, to create places to connect, if you've been tracking with us for the last couple of episodes, want to just remind you that on Tuesday, August 13, we're going to be hanging out in the evening, about 7 o'clock or so, at the Uptown Deli and Brew in Uptown Westerville. And this is just going to be a fun way to connect with other dads and to realize you're not alone. Mm-hmm. Sometimes dadding can be isolating. Yeah. We've got so many responsibilities, so many different hats we play or wear, and we're not trying to pull you away from them as much as to give you a place to connect with other guys that are going through the same thing. Yeah. And to enjoy a beverage of choice together, maybe some food and some camaraderie and encouragement. And so if you are interested in joining us for this first time, we would love to have you out. You can let us know you're coming on Facebook or on our website on the events page. Just fill out that registration and let us know you're coming. This is for you, and we're trying to create space for you to connect and build some community with other dads. And so we'd love to have you with us.
Absolutely. And if you're not in Ohio and you're not in Central Ohio, that doesn't mean that you can't do something like that with a group of guys in your area. And so hopefully this will also spark this to happen around other cities and in towns and in spots. Just the idea, like you said, Mark, of dads just getting together and building. We need it. We need it.
We do.
So, but if you are close to Uptown Westerville, Ohio area, and you are free that night, come hang out.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I will.
So cool. It makes me think of just a little plug for an episode to come. By the way, we have had some really good episodes of late. Getting good feedback. We had a good guest in Jay Cookingham. Like that was so cool a couple weeks ago to be able to have that conversation. And here in a couple of weeks, we got another one coming up with James Cutnow. And, part of his story is doing Saturday donut runs with other dads and kids, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be sophisticated or like extremely well organized. It can be spontaneous. You can go with the flow, whatever. It's just we are trying to encourage and create places for those connections and those conversations to happen. Yeah. So we'd love to have you join us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Have your kids ever gone through a big change or a big transition? Of course, the answer is yes.
Yes. Dude,
yes.
when they went from diapers to pull-ups, that was huge.
Okay, yes. That's going back a few years.
No, of course, yeah, absolutely.
So I was having breakfast with a friend of mine, and we get together a handful of times a year just to catch up. And it was earlier this summer, and I was just asking how the summer's going and what are your kids up to? And he's like, this is a big summer for us because our oldest is moving from elementary school into middle school. And it's kind of this big elephant in the room. And we're all feeling a little different about it based on our experience or our age or our personality. But it's on our radar screen for this summer. And it just really got me thinking about the challenge of helping kids to navigate through transitions. And I mean, we can use this as a good example because just about everybody experiences this, right?
Yeah.
But it really is a bigger idea contained in this context of from elementary to middle school of how do we help our kids navigate through transitions?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I mean, you think of transition, I automatically think of change.
Yeah, the big C word, right?
Yeah, and change, man. Change can be fun. Change can be insightful.
But generally, people don't react initially that way.
No,
right?
Change generally, first reaction is, no. Heck no, we won't go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one the first thing is like people don't like change. We don't like change, and so change can be really hard. And so, we have to. We as parents, as a dad, I'm thinking, I need to help my kids embrace change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard.
It is hard.
What do you do?
Especially maybe when you as a dad, let's talk personally here. When I as a dad struggle with change in my own life, not even as a dad, but as a man, I struggle with change.
Dude, it's hard for me to change toothpaste. I don't like change, man.
Yeah.
I've had the same barber since 2004.
There's something said for if it ain't broke, right?
Yeah, don't you know what I mean? Don't try to fix it. I get that.
But sometimes change comes upon you whether you want it or not.
Or not, right? And so what do you do with that? I think that we need let me go back. When it comes to change, with my kids, I want to help them feel what they're feeling, and so I want to create space, right? And because I know I need space as dad to deal with change. It's not just your kid who's going through change,
right?
You're going through change.
That's right.
Your wife is going through change. Your spouse is going through change. Whoever your kid is connected with, because this is life, and life is connected with other life. We can't do this alone. We live in community in some sense, right? So everyone feels a change. So there has to be space created for you to deal with the emotions that come along with change. But then that means that you have to create space for your kid, to feel those moments. So that means talking with your kid.
So let me give you an example that would be a bad example, right? Just to be clear, I know what you're saying, but let's make this fairly simple and clear. You are suggesting a conversation with your kid that doesn't start "Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it."
That's my gosh, that's so not good.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Right? I can see myself saying these types of things with good intentions, right? Not trying to be harmful, but thinking that maybe it will toughen my boy up or suck it up or
Yeah.
right. Like we could go down that path, but,
yeah.
but what you're saying is don't stifle the feelings of your boy, of your kids here. Just acknowledge them. They exist. They're real.
And you're feeling them.
That's right.
Like you're feeling like I can tell, and so there has to be a sit down and it can't be just like, so you feeling something? It's like, hey, you're about to go from kindergarten to first grade.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
Right.
Like, you happy? Are you sad? Like, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
Be honest. It's cool.
Help them put words to it.
Yeah. And you know what? That is one thing as humans we find really hard to do. Put words to our feelings. Mm-hmm. We have the general: happy, sad, angry, what I'm saying?
Right.
Peaceful. Not even, that word doesn't even come out. You know what I mean? There's we have these 4 pictures of faces when there's hundreds of things that you could be feeling. Maybe more than surprise. Maybe you feel amazed.
Yep.
Maybe you're not just sad. Maybe you feel depressed. You know what I mean? There's hundreds of feelings out there. So I use the wheel chart with my kids.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? And I have it on my phone. Is can you I'm got my phone holding up to Mark right now. It's not there.
Right.
But there's a sense of oh wow, I didn't know that was a feeling. Actually, that's what I'm feeling right now.
Yep.
And be able to work through that feeling with them and let them know it's okay to be sad right now.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel pain. I went and spoke at a youth conference a little while ago, and I was talking with a young youth leader. I think he was 19, 20, just out of high school. And he was helping out volunteering at this youth conference. And I brought that up, that it's hard for us to put words to feelings, but I also said we don't give ourselves space to grieve or to grieve over change that has happened in our lives. Mm-hmm. He came up to me afterwards and he was like, "You are so right. When you said that, the thing that popped up in my head was I was never allowed space to grieve when I was in middle school and moved to a different school."
Wow.
That change, that hurt me. I felt hurt. I felt torn away from friends. I felt weird being in a new school and having to walk through the hallways into a new building, into a new classroom with new teachers. He was like, I never grieved that. And I realized how angry I was about that, and that anger has grown.
Wow.
It is
6 years later, right?
Yeah, 6 years later, that anger of not grieving multiplied with all this other stuff that he was angry about in life.
Right.
And here he is sitting in the middle of this room, just volunteering, and someone just gave him space to grieve over that stuff.
Yeah.
So for our kids, if we're doing them a favor by giving them space to deal with their emotions, it's important to, right? And so we do that. We create space, and we create space for us, I think, to grieve as well, or to not just grieve, but to deal with the emotions as well. When I was talking with you, Mark, earlier. I found myself in a place where I dropped my second child off at middle school, Ashley, when she was going into middle school. And I remember the fear on her face. And it was hard for me to contain, man.
That's a hard moment as a parent, right?
I remember, she walked in and she was so timid. I wanted to be the hero dad,
right?
But I couldn't.
Right.
And I remember bawling in my car, just crying out. And I was like, "God, don't let anything happen to my little baby girl." And I was like, give mercy, give grace, right? And then I got to this angry moment where I was like, "I swear, any little kid messes with my girl, ooh, I'll be in there. I'll knock a kid out. I don't care. I'll go to jail for my girl." And I felt all these feelings, but it was important for me to have space to deal with those feelings.
Yeah.
And so I told my wife what I was feeling. I told my daughter what I was feeling. My friends, my close friends that I have, male dudes that I got in my life, I told them about this moment in a car, and I allowed for voices to speak into that and to encourage me, because I was going through change. My daughter was going through change and I was going through change,
Yeah.
and it was hard for me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I had to deal with those feelings. And so, dads out there, don't stamp down your feelings too. Don't do that. I mean, create space for your kid, but also create space for you, because you're going through change as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna keep us moving, but add to that. I think as part of sharing our feelings, like this is hard for Dad. We can also go back in time when we had to navigate those types of situations, and maybe it's not an exact match, but we can find a similar feeling. We can find a similar experience in our own life, and be vulnerable with our kids to say, "Look, I was afraid. I didn't want anybody to know it.
Yep.
I pretended to be right, but I was afraid, or whatever. I was timid. I was nervous. I dropped my tray in the cafeteria in front of whatever it is. Like, let your kids know that you've been there. And that you can relate. Let them see you as a human, not Superman with a cape that they get to call Dad, right?
Yeah, that you're real, that you're a human being, And there's things that you find you are excited for too. So let them know about that. Like, hey, what are you excited for about this? Like, get them pumped.
Perspective shift.
Yeah,
right? Like
it's not all doom and gloom.
That's right. There are opportunities here. Like our natural, as you were saying, our natural reaction to change is to grip up, to dig our heels in. Now, some people are inclined in their personalities to embrace change, but generally speaking, people fear change. But change is not always bad.
No.
And even if it is quote unquote bad, there's always opportunity inside of that circumstance to see a positive, to find the silver lining. And we're not talking here about trauma and major tragedy, which that has its own set of things that would need to be explored and unpacked. We're talking about just from one building to the next, or from one group of friends to the next, whatever it is. Like, there's opportunity. Things can be really positive. Maybe elementary school experience wasn't so good for your kid.
Yeah.
And maybe there's opportunity for middle school to be better. I'm making things up as hypothetical examples, but you know where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
We can choose how to approach change.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, I don't want to change. It could be, well, what could be possible now?
Yeah.
What things do you have access to in middle school that you didn't have access to in elementary, right? Like, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's hope.
Right.
You're helping your kid build hope.
Right.
I also want to say, like, I think it's good to honor, like, these moments in our kids' lives. Like, and so, like, me and Shannon, we look for ways to celebrate, like, these transitional moments for our kids. So that's the question. How can we celebrate this?
Yes.
And so when our kids move from primary to middle school, we celebrated. The family got together. We went out to a restaurant. We got dressed up. We made it big.
Sweet.
Like this is a big deal for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is huge. And, like, they saw or have seen that we're, like, excited for them, and that we're seeing how big of a deal this is, and that we're choosing to celebrate it, and they end up celebrating.
Yeah, they pick up on your energy.
They do. Our kids, man, they. It's that old nursery rhyme, monkey see, monkey do kind of game. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they see you're excited. They tend to get excited as well. But during those times, it's really good to build encouragement. And so, as your son is on this journey to becoming a man, as even your daughter is on this journey to becoming a woman, it's good to identify, like, milestones, like in these moments. Like, wow, like you're going to middle school. You just completed like 5 or, depending on where you're at, 6, depending on how your school system is, whether it's 7th, 8th for middle school or 6th, 7th, and 8th for middle school, or 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. But you just finished a certain amount of time of schooling and education.
Yep.
That's huge. Remember when you were in 1st grade, when you were scared?
Yep.
But look at you now.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I remember like in 2nd grade, math was really hard for you, but you buckled down. You worked at this, and now look at you. You know what I mean? Like, and you walked in the building having no friends, and at the end of this year, you've had a cool group of friends that are sitting around this table with us, celebrating with you. What a huge thing! Like, I mean, make it big, make it special, right? And honor it so that they remember that. And they take value in themselves, they take pride in themselves, and something gets built, man.
So I have this funny analogy or picture that's in my mind, right? Like we have an air hose that's connected to the chest of our little boys. And as you're talking, I'm just seeing that we're blowing air into this chest, and the chest is puffing out.
Yeah,
and
that's
the boy
exactly.
gets straighter and bigger and taller, just because he's feeling that pride and excitement because my daddy is speaking life into. He believes in me. I can do this. Now, this isn't just blowing smoke, right?
No,
and it's not insincere platitudes and all this, right? Our kids can see through that crap. But you have the ability to take that little boy who's got his shoulders hunched and is in a closed position and just open him up with the words that you say and how you celebrate this.
With encouragement, you know? And it's not just schooling. Like,
it's not.
It's like, it's like you said, it's like, it's you worked all summer. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
There's your character got built. Like, let's celebrate that.
Yeah, the last episode, right?
That.
Talking about kids working, right? Celebrating the end of a summer job or a part-time job or the lessons learned or the money made or the thing that was accomplished.
There was a change. There was a metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Metamorphosis that happened. Like something is different.
Yeah.
And you helped that. Like, let's honor that.
Yeah.
And show them like I don't know, for me, like I think helping our kids honor like themselves is important. And I think this is one cool way to do that. To see that you going through this change, you going from point A to point B and into point C is important.
Yeah.
And so let's celebrate that. That's big.
You said before we started recording, you used these words, and I really like it. This is an opportunity, these moments to call out the man in your son.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we are about here, encouraging dads to raise up men. And boy, these opportunities they can fit squarely in the process of raising that boy and guiding him to become a man.
And so beautiful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Mark, I said at one point that, we are a community, right? I think it's important also in change to teach our boys to open up to the community, the voices in the community, to speak into them in these moments. Like for experience, for lessons from experience of others to come in and be shared, for shoulders for your kid to lean on, in these moments of hard change, or great change or exciting change, happy change, whatever. Like they need shoulders, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, in saying that, getting family behind the change for your kid, I think it's good and important too.
Yeah.
So like for our kids, like, they're Mimi and Papa, Grandma, Grandpa, like they're always hanging with them, like talking and and go asking them questions like, so how did you do this? How did you go through this? Or what was life like for you in this changing moment of life, in this transitional moment? And to hear their stories, man, it's so cool, you know, and to know they're not alone is important, you know. So if you got family or friends in the neighborhood, older people that your kid can lean into as well, and get some cool like voices into their space, speaking life and encouragement into them, or telling them about how they did it. Do that, man. Yeah. That is so important. Yeah. So important. The more, the better, really.
We've said this before. Sometimes somebody else can say the same thing in a slightly different way, and it just clicks with your boy or your kid.
My son, it happens all the time. Yeah. Like, I said that. That's what I told you. But they hear it better, you know, from other people, and that's okay. Don't feel afraid of that. Don't feel like, you know, you're not being a good dad because you couldn't get it across. You're being a good dad for raising your kid, and loving your kid and letting them know that there's other people that can speak into their lives as well. So give them that space for that to happen. I think that's important as well.
Yeah. So I have, over the last number of years, really appreciated the value of questions. I used to be more inclined to tell, and now I'm much more inclined to ask. And so as I was thinking about this episode and some good questions that dads could ask themselves or even ask their spouses, I came up with a list. So let me just rattle off a couple of them. And some of these we've alluded to, but if you turn it into a question and sit with this question, it might help you. So like, how am I helping my boy to grow through this?
Yeah.
So I don't know what this is, and I don't know how you're helping, but how am I helping my boy to grow through this? How am I attending to his emotional needs? We spent most of the first half of this episode talking about the importance of feelings. I alluded to this one earlier. What stories can I tell him of my experience that will help him to know I understand?
Yeah, that's good.
And then a couple that maybe we haven't quite gotten to or haven't explicitly referred to. How do I need to let him go? And then how can I pray for him? Yeah. So just some thoughts, dads, for you, some tools to put in your box, ways for you to be thinking about whatever that transition is. Maybe it's happening real time. Maybe you know it's coming, and it's like I just go. I want to play the ostrich approach, right? I just want to put my head in the sand and pretend it doesn't. I can tell you that doesn't work out well. No. It doesn't.
And listeners are probably you probably know that already. Right. It doesn't work out well, but we're still willing to do it, right? Sometimes, but don't do it.
Right? No, these are like, if you want to engage, if you want to raise the bar of fatherhood, you want to raise the bar of manhood, it's hitting some of this stuff head on. Yeah. So how can you help your boy? How do you need to let him go? How can you pray for? How can you help him in a way that's different, right? Yeah. You're not doing it for him, but you're coming alongside of him in prayer and support. So anyway, just some questions to toss out to help you listeners wrestle through and be able to navigate through this, whatever transition is that your kids are experiencing.
Yeah. That's so good, Mark. Thanks for those questions.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this on the 13th.
Yeah,
with other dads, right?
I like to, if you're coming, please come with some thoughts and questions, because I'm trying to walk through this out myself.
Because Alon's got all the answers. We'll just set him up on...
No, dude. Trust me. Go ahead. Put me on that stage. What? I'm a dad? I am? Okay, I'm a dad.
Yes. No, creating space to have these conversations and to realize you're not alone.
Not alone, man.
Yeah.
Not alone.
Cool.
Mark, I appreciate you.
I love you, brother.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah. As always, man, you're a good ad, and I know our listeners appreciate your stories and your experience. So Good on you.
Cool.
All right. With that, we'll say
adios.
Adios. Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.